Aloha, I'm Sabrina with Begin Being, the show dedicated to guiding you to being the best version of you possible, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, with the ultimate goal to help you be able to remember who you came here to be and who you were meant to shine your light and your soul's purpose. In this video, we're going to be discussing Ho'oponopono, the ancient Hawaiian forgiveness process. Now, there seems to be a lot more talk about it. There's a lot more videos about it. And to me, I'm super excited and super grateful that the word is getting out there about Ho'oponopono because it is such an important technique for your health. Now, the one thing that the reason why I wanted to make this video is because it's something that's dear to my heart. So I was born in Hawaii, and it's like where my soul lives. It's where I connect with the most. And no skin color, I don't have any native Hawaiian blood, at least not any more than you do, because technically, if we're all from the same source, in some ways, we all do. And I wouldn't pass any kind of blood test that would say I'm Hawaiian. I'm Hawaiian by my soul and by my birthplace, not by blood. However, the culture is extremely important to me because, like I said, it's where I feel like my heart is home. And what I've noticed is most of the time when people are talking about Ho'oponopono, they're talking about the prayer, which is a very watered down version of Ho'oponopono. So I made this video because I really want to get clarification on what exactly the process is, because it goes so much deeper than just saying a prayer. It actually even goes much deeper than asking for forgiveness. There are two other main reasons why you would do Ho'oponopono, and they don't get talked about. No one is discussing them. And for overall mental and emotional health, which eventually affects your physical health, and it affects how you are able to connect up to your higher source. Whenever we do a process, any kind of process, like what Ho'oponopono is, it does make us a more clear channel to source. And it makes us be able to have a healthier mental, emotional, and physical body as well. So I wanted to make this video today to talk to you about the other purposes for Ho'oponopono and the difference between traditional and the prayer. Now first, really quick, before we talk about that, I would like to discuss a minute about why it's important to be able to have forgiveness. So according to the CDC, the number one cause of death in the United States is heart disease. In fact, every 33 seconds. And we've been talking for over 3 minutes now. So every 33 seconds, a person dies in the United States from heart disease. Think about that. Every 33 seconds. How many people have died just since we've been talking? Now, according to the Mayo Clinic, having emotional stress is one of the causes of heart disease. Now, of course, there are other physical causes as well, and I have other videos that talk about your physical health. And in this video, I want to get into your mental and emotional health with Ho'oponopono and being able to forgive someone and not hold on to that anger and not hold on to that stress, harming your mental and emotional body and doing things like causing heart disease, amongst many other things as well. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important to be able to keep our mental and emotional bodies, just clean, like cleaning up, just like you would clean your house. You want to clean your body from all aspects. So I believe, well, as do many others, that doing release work of various types, including processes like Ho'oponopono, is extremely vital to all four of your bodies for optimal health. So what exactly is Ho'oponopono? Well, to understand that, let's first understand the Hawaiian culture. So a lot of people who haven't been here, they tend to think that it's actually one island. And for anyone who has been and you're trying to figure out what airport to go to, you would know that there's actually multiple islands. And because there were multiple islands, just like how you have in the United States, for example, you might have Southerners and they have their traditions and their ways. Then you have people from, say, like New York. They're going to be very different from someone from the South. Someone from, California, they're going to have a lot of different ways they speak, what they're into, and stuff like that. Now imagine being on separate islands with an ocean between you, and it's not like they had airplanes or anything like that. So each of them in the beginning had their own kingdom. So each island had their own kingdom, and they had their own traditions. Now a lot of them were the same, and you're going to notice some differences. So the Ho'oponopono that I'm talking to you about today in this video is more from the Big Island. Now, when most people think of Ho'oponopono, what they're actually thinking of is the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a very simplified version of the Ho'oponopono process, which no Hawaiian ever actually practiced. And the prayer goes like this: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Now, the first issue is Hawaiians didn't exactly have a word for I'm sorry. And the reason why is because when you say the word I'm sorry, there's no energy in it. There's no energy exchange. And in the Hawaiian language, they really focus, well, actually in the Hawaiian culture in general, they really focused on energy. And whenever they would interact, there would be an exchange of energy through the interaction. Saying I'm sorry kind of has a stop to the energy. And not only that, but it kind of also has if you say I'm sorry to somebody, they can just be like, yeah, I bet you are. Or not sorry enough. Or yeah, you're going to be sorry. And so it doesn't really have that forgiveness feel to it. So what Hawaiians would say is they would say, e kalamai iau. And basically what that means is A is kind of like by means of. So when you're saying something it's like X by means of Y. So that's what that would mean. Kala is forgive. Mai is directional. It's like a directional word, and it's directional towards the speaker. Iau is because of or due to me. So it's basically like saying by means of forgiveness to me because of me. The second part of the prayer, please forgive me, is actually the closest English translation. So the saying, please forgive me in the prayer is actually what the Hawaiians were saying. Now, the I love you part, that's not really necessary. And in our society, it's very difficult for someone to say, I love you to someone who had a really extreme rape, or to someone who murdered a loved one. Most of the time in our society, if you say I love you to someone who wronged you in that way, you're not going to mean it. Now the Hawaiians, they did have a lot of aloha and a lot of love. So maybe part of their process was saying something similar to that, and that's not something our society can truly believe. So for example, if someone murdered someone I really love or care about, to be able to say I love them, yes, maybe on a soul level, maybe on they were here to teach me a lesson for some reason, and we came in with soul agreements for this to happen. Yes, perhaps I love their soul, and I don't know if I could actually say I love you to someone who did that. And so saying I love you is not exactly ecological in our society. And here's the thing, if you don't believe it, it can actually cause more harm because you're lying to yourself. So you end up stressing out your body more. So if you're trying to do the forgiveness process, which you absolutely should to someone who did something extremely wrong to you, like a murder, for example, you should actually forgive them. And there's a lot of research as to why, and a lot of research as to the benefits of it. And then that extra step of loving them, it's not necessary. And as far as I've been taught, not actually in the original process. You're simply forgiving them to be able to let it go, and forgiving them because there's probably stuff that's come up for you that you've probably done that you need forgiveness for. Now let's look at what the word ho'oponopono means itself. So ho'o means to make, and it's included with a lot of other words as well. Now, pono means right. And it doesn't mean like I'm right and you're wrong. It more means right as in perfect order. Now, like most root languages, there weren't a lot of words. So in the English language, there's a ton of words that mean the same thing. So if you go to a dictionary, you'll see the word, and then you'll see like a whole bunch of synonyms that basically mean the same thing as the word you're looking at. In the Hawaiian dictionary, it's the opposite. So you'll see a word and a whole bunch of meanings that don't necessarily relate to each other. And that's just because in root languages, they didn't have a lot of words yet. And so they ended up making their languages was more chunked up, like it was more big picture instead of very detailed, which is what English has become. So they ended up using the same word for various things. So for example, the Hawaiian word ahi, it means fish. And it also is the name for the fire element. Two totally completely different things. One is in the water, one is fire. So often there are different meanings for different words. And then the other thing that they would do is they would sometimes put two words together to make more of an emphasis. So pono pono is like doubly right. Or in this case, it's also right in both directions. So you're both giving and getting forgiveness. And again, that goes back to that energy exchange so that you are pono with each other. Both people are pono. So again, it's more about putting that energy between the two people into perfect order. Okay, so the original process goes like this. And I'm going to use a really silly example. So say I asked a friend to go get me some coffee. And she got me the coffee and she brought it back. And I really wanted coconut milk. But she brought me soy milk. And she knows I do not like soy milk. And so she brings me the coffee. And I'm like, soy milk? We've been friends since we were in 2nd grade. You brought me soy milk? You don't know me anymore? And I'm like really upset about the fact that she brought me soy milk. So again, silly example. But what would happen is, she's my best friend, right? So we would want to make it right. So we would go find our kahuna or our kumu, which are Hawaiian names for like a Hawaiian shaman. So we would go find our person and we would go into the kumu's hut and we would tell the situation, tell what's going on. And what we would do is we would say, please, I forgive you, please forgive me too. Please forgive me. I forgive you too. So that's what we would do. We would do that energy exchanging of forgiving each other. Because you know what? Maybe I wasn't clear that I wanted coconut milk that day. Maybe I should have, maybe I didn't take into account that she was actually really stressed. Maybe she didn't even do it. Maybe she asked for coconut milk and the barista just gave her soy milk. So you ask for forgiveness in both directions. The kumu would do some energy work with them, and the situation would become pono again. It would be back in perfect order. Now, there's also a second component to this. Say this happened, and then I went to one of my other friends, and I was like, oh, can you believe she gave me coconut milk? Like, does she not know me at all? Are we not even best friends? Does she not even care about me? And maybe the other friend was like, oh, yeah. I don't know how she could have thought that. Like, everyone knows you hate soy milk. Like, why would she do this? So then maybe he's a little bit upset too. Well, then we would have to bring him into the tent. So now we're all three are into the hut. So now we're all three in the hut and we do the process. Well, this worked great for Hawaiians because they lived on islands. There wasn't a lot of, there were smaller societies and there wasn't a lot of like travel and, stuff like that. So it worked great for them. They didn't have social media. Now, let's say in the same situation, my friend who I told the story to, say he's a YouTuber and he's got like 1 million subscribers. And he told the story in his YouTube channel. He told the story about how you should care about your friends or something. And he used my story as an example. So now, like, all of his 1 million subscribers saw this video. Well, because they're affected by it too, technically, we would all have to go into the hut. So in modern society, the ancient process doesn't quite work as well. It doesn't quite work the way it used to. Not only that, but when the Westerners started coming over here, a lot of Hawaiians were told to stop practicing their ancient traditions. And when they were told that, well, there weren't a lot of kumus and kahunas made anymore. So now, not only has society grown and the way we communicate grown, there's also a lot less people to go to, a lot less huts to be able to resolve these issues. So the Ho'oponopono process has been modified a little bit from the ancient tradition. However, the ancient purpose was to get forgiveness in both ways and to be able to feel it, like feel healed inside of you. So the modern version does the exact same thing, only it's not a prayer. Along with that, we understand a lot more about our unconscious mind than we used to in the past. So with that, we understand that you actually technically don't need the other person because it's really about healing you inside of you. So in the process, you do heal up the other person and they don't need to be present. Now, some of you may be going, okay, Sabrina, earlier in the video, you said to give forgiveness for everyone, including someone who's, really done major harm, like a rape or a murder. And some of you might be thinking, okay, well, why should I be saying, please forgive me? Like, why do you want the forgiveness in both directions? And that actually happened one time. So I'm a trainer of Neurolinguistic programming, NLP, and Huna. And you want to know more? Links in the video. If you want to come to one of our practitioner trainings, look at the code below, and you can actually get 50% off. So if you want to come to know more about what I'm talking about, you can totally do that in the links below. And one time at one of our NLP trainings, we teach Ho'oponopono at all of our trainings with NLP and with Huna, an ancient Hawaiian energy technique. And at one time at one of our pracs, we had one of the trainers, his name is Dr. Matt, and he was teaching Ho'oponopono to the class. And one of the students raised her hand, and she was like, well, what if I don't know the person who wronged me? And he was like, okay, well, I need to know, like, how do you not know who wronged you? And she said, well, I was in the military, and I was given the date rape drug. So I don't actually know who raped me. And he was like, okay. And he explained to her that, yes, you can still do the process, and was explaining the reasons why. And another student raised her hand, and she was like, hold on. Why does she have to say, forgive me? Why is it in both directions? Why do you have to say, please forgive me, I forgive you too? Why does she have to say that piece? Why does it have to go in the both directions? I'm not comfortable with that. And so Dr. Matt explained, he said, well, by explaining, he asked the student, her name is Naomi, and we have permission to share this. Her name is Naomi, and he asked Naomi, since this event occurred, is there anything that you need, is there anything that you need to be forgiven for? And she said, yes. I've wished death on him. I've wished death on his entire family. And I've been a person who I'm not. That's not me. And the other student was like, okay, hold on. I still don't think she should say it. And the way it works to be complete inside with yourself, you actually ask forgiveness for everything in that situation, which includes that death that she wished on him and his family. And so Naomi just kind of looked at the other woman and she said, I want to do the process. I want this to be gone. I've been holding on to this and I'm ready to let go. So you do get and give that forgiveness in both directions. There's other stories too about, tragedies that have happened with other people, and statistics and everything, research done that says that if you give and get forgiveness, you actually are able to heal inside. And it's for you, not for them. It's for you. Now, I told you at the beginning of this video that there is actually 3 reasons to do Ho'oponopono. And the first one does relate to forgiveness, but there are 2 others. And the reason why there are 2 others is because Hawaiians believe in a thing called aka cords. And what they believed is that every time you had an interaction with someone, the two of your energies interacted and mixed with each other. So they believed in this thing called aka cords, which was this energetic cord that came from your belly button and linked to the other person. So they believed that whenever you interacted with others, you had these energetic cords going in between the two of you. And they also believed that it was very healthy to be able to cut those cords at certain times. Now, part of the Ho'oponopono process that I'm going to go over with you in this video is being able to cut that cord. Now, the first reason that you would want to cut the cord is for forgiveness. It's very similar to what the Ho'oponopono prayer took and watered down. Now, the reason for that, I really would love to cover the history of how and why that happened. And that's just going to make this video too long. So perhaps I'll do a part 2 and go over more of the history and how the prayer came to be. But for this video, we're just going to stick to the reasons for doing Ho'oponopono and the overall process itself. So again, the first one is forgiveness, and that's for you to be able to become Pono with yourself and be able to heal your mental and emotional state. Now, the second reason why you would want to cut an aka cord with someone is actually to reconnect. So the person, probably didn't wrong you or do anything like that. There was no reason for forgiveness. You simply want to reconnect with them. And there are a few reasons for this, or a few purposes. So one of them is your children. So if you have children, they're very different, and you hopefully treat them very different when they're 5 versus when they're 15. So doing the Ho'oponopono process, which I'm going to go over and you'll understand this more, when you cut the cord with someone who is your child, or even a child that like a niece or a nephew or a grandchild, it's to reconnect with them and be able to have a different energy. So like I said, when they're 5 years old, you're going to treat them a lot different. You're going to be perhaps more gentle, or you're going to perhaps, treat them in a way that is not appropriate to treat a 15-year-old. Like you would treat a baby, if you treat a 15-year-old like a baby, they're not going to have any of it. And so it's to be able to have that growth with them. Another reason to reconnect or, disconnect and then reconnect is with a loved one. So say you're in a relationship with someone, like a romantic relationship, and with your partner, sometimes you want to have a fresh connection. So you can actually do this even on a nightly basis. So at night, you can cut the aka cords between each other, and in the morning, you wake up and you reconnect with the aka cord, or maybe even right before you go to sleep, you reconnect with them and have a different energy, have a fresh, new, and put intention into this new energy. So the second reason is to disconnect and reconnect with someone who you care about, or just everyone throughout your day. So say, for example, you go throughout your day, you're getting your groceries, you kind of form a little of a connection with the person at the grocery store. Maybe you're interacting with coworkers, with your boss or your employees or clients. You can cut the cord with them to begin fresh. And with the person who, maybe you just barely talk to, go ahead and cut the cord. Just that way there's not all of these energetic cords connecting you to other people, because you don't know what their energy is like. You don't know what they're off doing. So another reason, second reason, just to kind of connect or disconnect from people. And then your loved ones, all you have to do is think about them to reconnect. So say it's, a parent who you haven't spoken to in a little bit, and you just kind of want to disconnect whatever that old energy was, and you want to gain something new. Cut the aka cord with them, and then send them a text message. Think about them. Call them. And that reconnects the energy between you. So it's a very healthy process to do, especially in relationships. It really brings the two people together even more. Now, The third reason why you would want to do Ho'oponopono with someone is if they pass away. So the Hawaiians believed that your soul was more than just your physical body. So they believed that when you pass away, you live on. And if you're still connected to that physical body, you're staying connected to like an empty shell. You're not actually connecting to them. Now, some people think like, oh no, like, is that going to take away my memories of them? Is that going to, maybe I won't love them anymore. Maybe I won't feel so connected to them, or maybe they won't visit me in my dreams anymore, or anything like that. And here's the thing, you're disconnecting from their empty vessel. And by doing that, and I'll explain once I go over the process, you'll understand this even more. But you're disconnecting with the them that you knew that's no longer them. And when you do that process, a lot of the time you actually get more positive memories about them. You often think of all the things, like more memories come in, and you think of all the treasured moments that you had with them. Even surprisingly, even to people who you were kind of like really disconnected from, and maybe you hadn't spoken to in years because, you had some sort of argument, or you had something that was never resolved, like an issue was never resolved. This actually helps you a lot to be able to resolve that issue that you never got to do face to face. And so those are the 3 reasons why you'd want to do Ho'oponopono. Now, the process itself, what you do is you go into a meditative state. So you sit or lay down. If you get sleepy or tired when you meditate, maybe laying down is not the way to do this. However, sometimes if you do it right before bed, you can fall asleep, and that's okay. You can complete the process in the morning. However, what you want to do is go into a meditative state, and I do have a video on meditation you can watch if that helps you, and you can take some Ha breaths. So Ha breaths are basically just, you do an inhale through your nose, and then you make a sound. So it sounds kind of like this. And I normally say Hanu to my students, which basically means breathe. So Hanu. So you're breathing in, and I know there's a squeaky tree behind me, and there's some waves. I'm going to put the microphone a little bit closer to make sure you're hearing my inhale and exhale. So it's a shorter inhale and a longer exhale, and it's like this. Hanu. Now hopefully you heard that on the microphone. So you want to do some Ha breaths and really kind of connect and get into that state. And then you're going to imagine a light above your head. It's usually going to be a white light. And you want to imagine whatever your source is. It doesn't matter what your source is. Whatever your source is, you imagine that source coming into you, going down into your feet, and then going up from your feet all the way up, healing you as it goes, healing you all the way up, and then down through your arms and filling your body completely till it goes out through your head and back, like surrounding, like down through your head and surrounding your body. So then you're completely coated in light. You're coated in healing energy. Then from your heart chakra, you send that out energetically to the other person. And with the other person, you have created a stage. Whoever it is that you're wanting to forgive, you have created a stage below you and in front of you. And on that stage, you have put the person that you want to forgive or get forgiveness from. And sometimes it depends on the process. You can have multiple people, you can have groups, and there's more details about this as well, but I'm explaining the general process. And then what you're going to do is that person that you've put on the stage, you're going to send that healing energy to them, and you're going to heal them up completely. So now you've given them that healing energy. And you're going to say, please forgive me. I forgive you too. And you're going to do that a few times, and you're going to do that until you feel that forgiveness both directions. And so until you can feel you being able to forgive them and feeling that forgiveness from them as well. Once you get that, now you can talk with them. Now you can say to them whatever it is that you need to say to make the process complete, to really feel the completeness of the process. And then once you feel that, once you've had that conversation, once you feel the forgiveness and it's like you're no longer attached to the situation. It's like you no longer have that anger. You no longer have that frustration. Or if it's just to disconnect and reconnect, you just kind of are no longer attached to like their energetic field. And you kind of feel a little bit, but just, like disconnected from them. And, the same thing with the person who has passed. Maybe you're talking about past memories. Maybe you're just kind of feeling the connection you had to that person. And if it's a not so good connection, maybe you're just saying those last words that you need to say so that you can let them go. Or so sometimes there is like guilt of like, oh, I never told them. I don't feel like I told them I loved them enough. Or maybe it was so sudden and maybe you had a fight right before it happened and you feel like, oh no, like what if they think I didn't love them? You can then have that conversation with them. Once the conversations happen, and again, you feel that pono-ness between, I don't think pono-ness is a word, but we're going to use it, but you feel that pono-ness between the two of you, then you can cut the connection. There's different ways of doing this. One of our kumus, so one of our teachers, Dr. Patrick Scott, he loves Star Wars. So he thinks of a lightsaber. And so he imagines, like turning, he even makes a sound effect. It's so cute. But he imagines turning on the lightsaber and just like cutting the cord. There is an opua. So opua is like, if you know Reiki, Reiki uses like different symbols, like different energetic symbols to be able to work with energy. Huna does the same, and the Hawaiians call it the opua. And there's a certain symbol that some of our practitioners will use that kind of like helps to cut the cord. You can imagine a guillotine or a knife or any other, just a blade of light. So you can imagine anything that you would like to be able to cut the aqua cord between you and the other person. So you just want to cut the cord. If there's multiple people on the stage, because like I said, sometimes it involves another person. So if it involves another person, you, like my, YouTuber friend who was in my theoretical, the story about the coffee. So I'm imagining my friend who gave me the soy milk, and then perhaps my YouTuber friend came on stage as well, and I healed him up too. So now in this case, I would be cutting like both of the cords. And so now the cords are no longer attached. And then you simply make the person or people disappear, and you make the stage disappear as well. There's also some chanting involved in the process. The chanting isn't like 100% necessary, and the chanting really brings in the extra energy. So when we do the process at our practitioner training with NLP and at our Huna training, we actually chant to be able to take you through the process, similar to what the kumu would do. And when you are done with the process, you imagine the people like disappearing, and they're all healed up, and they disappear, and the stage disappears. And often, you would like to do some ha breaths again, some breathing to kind of bring you out of the process. Now, if you want to be guided through the process, if you want to experience the process yourself, go check the description below, and I have put a free version. It's on Empowerment Inc.'s app. So they're the company that I work through that has the NLP and the Huna trainings that I train at. So I'm a trainer at their live trainings. So Empowerment Inc. has a free 7-minute Ho'oponopono process that you can go click the link below. You can download the app, put it on your phone, and you can do the Ho'oponopono process the way I have described in 7 minutes. So you can do it for free every single night and just notice what happens. Just watch and notice what happens. And also know too, if something has, like, if it's a hard thing like an extreme rape or something like that, there are often times when you have to do the process multiple times. So sometimes if it's like extreme, please don't think like, boom, one time and then, we're done. And sometimes you just need to do it a couple of times to really be able to release. The same thing with someone who has passed. There are times when we feel like we want to have that conversation with them, but maybe you don't want to cut the cord just yet. That actually happened with me. My grandmother passed a few months ago, and I did part of the process with her to disconnect, to be able to kind of like heal, not necessarily, we didn't need to like heal anything, but I definitely wanted to be able to let her go to her next space. And I couldn't cut the cord right away. It just wasn't time for me yet. And so I waited a little bit, and that's okay too. So that's perfectly okay. And you can do the process again at a later time, which I did. So go get the recording. There are other versions on the app, not free, but there are other versions on the app which are longer. There are other versions, like I said, where you can do it with groups. So there's, at our Huna Training, we take you through forgiving like everyone in your life, your parents, if you have kids, your siblings, if you have those, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, coworkers, all of those good things. So we take you through like a much longer version to be able to really clear out your energetic cords. And it's very interesting. We have students comment, they will have amazing experiences. Sometimes they'll have people that they haven't spoken to in years. They'll do the process and all of a sudden they'll get like a phone call or a text message, or they'll randomly run into them at some random place. So all sorts of fun things happen when you are able to completely disconnect and clear out your energetic cords. And I do want to point out something about the Ho'oponopono prayer, because this is kind of what really gave me the inspiration, what really guided me to make this video. Because at one of our recent trainings, this was last month, at one of our practitioner trainings for NLP, we took our group through the process, and afterwards, we asked people, we have like, hey, do I have anything you want to share? And this one student raised her hand and she said, I have been doing the Ho'oponopono prayer for 2 years. She said she's been doing the prayer version, not this version, the prayer version for 2 years. And she said, I really just didn't feel like I was getting a release. And she said, this is the first time after doing this process this way, this is the first time I've actually been okay. I've actually been able to get a release and I feel love inside. So I really hope that you guys go get the free, the free Ho'oponopono process for 7 minutes. Hope you guys go click on the link, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, please do some energy exchange, subscribe, hit the like button. It really helps me out. I'm a new YouTuber at the moment, so it helps to have as many likes and as many subscribers as possible. That way this information can get out there. So if you like the information, which I hope you do, if you like the information that I'm trying to share, because I really am trying to share from my heart and share things that I am passionate about and that I hope, inspires other people. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and check out any of the other links below if you're interested in coming to see me in person, or some of the other trainers. If you want to know more about personal growth and development, we are here for you. There's other videos in the links below too, so go ahead and check those out. And like I said, maybe I'll do another video about the history of Ho'oponopono. So if you're watching this, later on, maybe it's already in the links, because I'll put it in there whenever it's made. All right, in the meantime, I love you all. And I am here on the beautiful island of Hawaii, and I'm really enjoying being home for a little bit and in this nice little grove here. Here, let me show you this. Here, let me do this. Let me show you this. This is the ocean right here. behind us. Get the lighting. There you go. So I'm just here in this little grove, this little tree grove. And I have been having a super amazing experience here. We've been doing the Huna Training, and it's been very beautiful. So again, I love you all. Mahalo for watching. And as always, please choose love in everything that you do. Aloha. And I'm gonna take you for a little walk because I want you to see this absolutely amazing sunset. It's definitely going to be a very beautiful sunset tonight.